So the terrible situation in the Middle East continues and obviously gets blanket coverage on the news outlets. But that doesn't mean nothing's happened in the UK this week. Rishi gave a statement in the House of Commons, while Grant Shapps and Oliver Dowden had a laugh and a joke behind him, proving just how seriously they take it. Absolutely bloody disgusting. Britain abstained in a United Nations vote calling for a ceasefire because we have to follow America and there might be a chance of an arms deal soon, so innocent civilians on both sides don't come into the equation. The COVID inquiry had some revelations. Boris Johnson wrote on an official report that long COVID was bollocks, his wording, and that it was like Gulf War syndrome. His way of saying it doesn't exist. There might be some veterans out there who disagree with you, Boris. It was also revealed that the person really in charge was Carrie Johnson, not Dominic Cummings like we all thought, and certainly not Boris. Boris's refusal to lock down earlier cost between 20 and 25,000 lives. He really did let them bodies pile high. And now the now chief medical officer referred to Rishi as Dr. Death. Rishi still refuses to say if he benefited financially from investments in vaccine manufacturer Moderna. He would, wouldn't he? The next big scandal after the PPE contracts looks like it could be oil and gas giants who've caused the climate crisis, getting 20 billion of carbon capture subsidies. Meanwhile, Greta Thunberg was arrested under new anti-protest laws for peacefully demonstrating outside an oil company summit in London, just days before the climate-induced storm Babet hit the UK. Personally, I like the idea of naming weather events after the companies that helped create them. Storm BP, Storm Esso, and then when we run out of those, use their directors' names. The government claimed crime was down 56% under the Tories since 2010, except the small print says that this excluded fraud. You can't pick and choose which crimes you include in the crime figures just because your fucking friends are committing them. Prisons ran out of space and even serious offenders might get early release, says the Party of Law and Order. Figures released show the additional 5,000 hospital beds promised by the government haven't materialised. In fact, there are 3,000 fewer. The Tories sent a questionnaire in Cambridge about the NHS that looked like it was from a proper NHS, but it was actually just data mining for themselves. Conservative MP Peter Bone faces a 6-week suspension for bullying and sexual misconduct, including indecent exposure to a member of staff. A 6-week suspension for what I'd call a crime, but the good news is it could lead to another by-election. He was appointed Deputy Leader of the House of Commons by Boris Johnson while already under investigation. A couple of interesting financial bits of news. The Cabinet Office has published data on Rishi Sunak's private and RAF jet hire, which in just 3 months from April to June cost us £650,000. The COVID Startup Fund invested $2 million in firms linked to Sunak's wife. And the sell-off of HS2 land will cost the taxpayer £100 million. The £25 million spent on text message alert system proved to be totally wasted as none were issued for Storm Babel. And finally, in more anti-migrant rhetoric, Tory MP Jill Mortimer said in the House of Commons, most asylum seekers are violent. Nigel Farage posted on Facebook that a protester had been arrested for carrying a Union Jack flag. It was a lie that was called out, but we haven't seen him apologise or clarify it. And I haven't mentioned the by-elections. That will be in the next video. So subscribe now and turn notifications on.